Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm Christy if you're new, and if you're returning, hey, it's great to see you again. I'm glad you are here, no matter if you're new or returning. So today's video, I am actually going to be doing a little bit of a pantry challenge. I want to use up some pumpkin that I like, homegrown pumpkin. I'm not sure if I'm going to be using up my pureed pumpkin or if I will be using up the freeze-dried pumpkin. It all works the same either way, but it's something that I want to clear off my pantry and something that I want to use up, and it's homegrown. So yes, this is the time to do it. I also wanted to take you with me to do some maintenance on my tower garden. This year, my pantry challenge has had an advantage because even though I'm in zone 2, Northern Alberta, Canada, where it is currently 25 below Celsius, I can still grow food in my basement using a tower garden. And many of you have been following along and seen that I've been producing lettuce, which has been a game changer for my pantry challenge because I'm continuously having, I have some sustainability. And I wanted to show you the maintenance of having this tower garden and what the disadvantages are, because there is always disadvantages of having advantages of growing food. There always is. You always have to invest time in some capacity. And so I thought I would take you along and show you some of the maintenance that I am doing on my tower garden, so that I can produce this lettuce and these fresh greens for my pantry challenge. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get in the kitchen. We're gonna make some rolls for dinner. I'm not sure what I'm gonna cook for dinner, but I wanted to share this roll recipe that I found interesting and a great way to use up some homegrown pumpkin. So something that sometimes it's nice to have fresh inspiration on a pantry staple. So let's go make a mess and get that done. And then we'll go head downstairs to the grow room and we'll start doing some maintenance on our lettuce tower garden. Disclaimer, I have not made this recipe before, and I will link it all down below for you so that my mismatch measuring system that I do and my dump and go and guesstimation, you'll have a little bit more accuracy down below. Just saying. So for today's pantry challenge, I decided I'm going to use up this raw pumpkin powder, tongue twister. A few years ago, I grew a ton of pumpkin and I freeze dried a bunch of it raw with the skin on. Like, I did not peel them. I just scooped the guts out of it and I freeze dried it into powder. You could alternatively, if you're making a recipe like what I'm doing, you could just use canned pumpkin. Like 1 can would be the equivalency of what I've done here. But I took 2 cups of pumpkin powder and then I just kept adding water until it got to a consistency that I was happy with. That was about the consistency of pumpkin puree. You would technically, most people would put this in the blender and reconstitute it that way. I really didn't feel like it because I can't put my blender in the dishwasher and I'm kind of lazy. So I skipped that. It was fine. It worked out just great. In the recipe, it calls for milk. So once I kind of got it hydrated to this consistency, I added warm milk. The water I'm not sure if I mentioned it, the water I was adding to this was hot water. It just seems to work a little bit better when the water or the milk temperature is warmer, on the warmer side. So I was happy with this consistency. This recipe calls for honey. But I have a jar of like a syrup that I made using corn cobs, and it was actually a project inspired by Rachel at this 1870s homestead. She had done a video on this as well, and I had made it 2 years in a row. I used everything up the first year for making like bread puddings and like different kind of baking dishes, and I made another batch. I haven't used them yet, so I'm going to go grab one of those, and instead of using honey, because I'm running low on honey, I'm going to use that instead for my yeast food to basically feed the yeast in the rise, is using that corn syrup or fake maple syrup. So these are going to be like a pumpkin maple kind of dinner bun. We'll see if it's any good. Here it syrup. Yeah, I think we'll use this. The recipe called for about 1/4 of a cup of syrup, or sorry, honey. And that was originally what I was going to do, was use 1/4 of a cup. And I'm thinking, why am I going to save half of a jar? I ended up just dumping the whole thing in, and it was fine. At this point, I was kind of already thinking I'm going to make a cinnamon roll. I'll talk about that a little bit later in this video, switching idea. But anyway, I added some melted butter and an egg, farm fresh egg, right on in there. I always like to whisk up the egg before adding it in. I just find it's easier to whisk together, preference. And then I added some salt, gave that a good little mix through, and yeast. I know typically with quick yeast you would add that to the flour, but I just did everything backwards today because I just felt like it. Going against the rules is kind of my jam. So I ended up doing that. And I don't even know how much flour I used. I ended up using up all my white flour, and I had some whole wheat flour that I really needed to use up. And I started to add that into here as well. It worked so good. I will tell you, this was the nicest dough I have worked with in a long time. I don't know what went right with this dough, but it was phenomenal to work with. I really enjoyed making this. Even though it looks like I really screwed up at this point, I'm looking at this dough ball thinking I have regrets, such regrets, but it actually turned out amazing. It just needed to hydrate through, and the longer it rose, it was a very beautiful dough. You'll see it come together, and then when I roll it out, you'll see it really comes together nicely. But the recipe calls for this to be done in a stand mixer. I have a stand mixer. I've never actually ever used it for making dough. So I just do the kneading by hand, and it come together pretty quickly. This whole wheat flour I'm using, it's red hard wheat flour. I order all my flour from Organic Matters online. It's a Canadian company here in Canada, and I really enjoy shopping with them. I greased my silver bowl with some oil, and then I just kind of got oil all over the outside of the dough so it didn't dry out, and then I covered it up to let it rest and rise. I think it was about 1.5 hours or so. While that is rising, let's go do some maintenance on our lettuce. What do you want? Hey, Reggie. Do you want inside? Come on. This is my favorite view when I enter into my home. Usually I get greeted by a whole school of fish. All right, you guys, you've seen this a couple days ago. 2 days ago, I posted an update on this tower garden, and look at it now. But we have some serious maintenance. We're not just going to be cutting lettuce. We have serious maintenance. Because as you can see, these are growing in rock wool, so the roots go in this tube. And the roots just continue to grow and grow and grow until they reach the bottom reservoir, which is full of roots. So part of the maintenance is to trim roots. But first we need to cut back our lettuce so we can have it for supper. This is a bok choy, and it looks great. Or I guess it's like a, oh, it's not bok choy, it's another something choy. I can't remember the name of it. It says a dwarf version of bok choy. The leaf lettuce is looking great. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, little. What are you doing? Hi. What are you doing? I just need to wait for the system to stop running. It's hydrating the roots right now. That's what that sound is. It's the pump circulating the water from down in the reservoir, like this part down here. It's pushing the water up through this tube, and then it trickles down through the root systems. And I'll show you that. We have to actually take it apart. I'm just gonna let it run its cycle so they get a good drink. I just cut them pretty harshly. So we're gonna let them have a good drink, and then I'm going to just flip the switch off for the pump until we're done, so I don't make a big mess and get water all over my grow room. But while we're waiting, I'll show you the update on some of the tulips that came up since the other day when I posted a video. They're growing, how exciting. My goal for Mother's Day is definitely realistic to have a few blooms, so I'm really excited. Got some more over here and some here. I'm actually gonna move these guys down onto the floor where it's a little cooler. I've been updating, they've grown quite a bit. I'll do another update in a few more days when I have more to share. But these guys here, these status, they're probably gonna start going out next week. We have some nice days and they're gonna go into the greenhouse. And then I will show you our lettuce update. Look at that. This is just a few days. Look at how much it's grown. We started this stuff here on this side. It was started from seed. And this stuff over here was transplanted. And these are basil. I'll be able to cook with them in a couple more days, which I'm really excited about. So if you guys, let me know in the comments, have you started a lettuce, like a greens tray like this? It's just a seed starting tray with some soil, and I have regular potting soil in here along with some worm castings, and I'm just watering it every couple days, letting it dry out between waterings. Let me know in the comments below, have you started your veggie tray of greens yet? Whether it's for herbs or lettuce, let me know. Look at that one, it's forming a little head already. Same with that one, it's growing a head. Wow, love it. These are just LED lights, so they don't take a lot of power. And look at my bells of Ireland. They did really well. My snapdragons are doing better. I'll have a whole update on these in a few more days, but anyway. I'm just gonna pry this open. It's usually easier to get it off of here, but it's got lots of salt built up on it, minerals. So this is what the inside is looking like. So the water comes up this center part in here, and it sprays up and into here, and the water free falls back down all of these little tubes, or all these little holes, and these little holes actually are watering these seedlings. So this is gonna be really hard to do one-handed with, I wanna give you a close-up so you're actually seeing what's going on instead of seeing me work. I would rather you be up close, so bear with me. This takes a little bit of finesse with one hand. There it goes. See that? So I'm gonna clean these off, get these all nice and cleaned up. I'll take them in the bathtub, give them a scrub. So there they are. And then you can see way down goes into the bottom of the reservoir. And I better not forget. So here's the problem we have with these tower gardens. As they grow, you can see this bok choy. It's just sitting here. See how this is just sits in this thing, in this cup. And here, the medium is rock wool. Look at the bottom, we have roots, but the roots, they actually begin to grow down into the reservoir. I don't know if you can see. Okay, so check this out. Look at how long this root is. So this is one of the shorter roots. I don't know if you can actually see that. See if I can set that here. So there's the bok choy. And the root is down to here. This is the tip of it. So if you can imagine it's sitting in the tower garden, make it level to where it would be sitting. See, the root is right there. So if you look into the tower garden reservoir, it's growing down towards the reservoir, it will clog up those holes that the water passes through. So we have to trim the roots, which is not really that difficult. Sometimes I can just pinch them like so, and it's good to go. It can go right back into the thing it came out of. And get a little scrap bucket, and that's all that's to it. Take any pieces off that are not good. Let's see what this one is. Whoa, look at that system. Whoa, it's still going. There it is. We will pop that off. I like to leave it with some root, but it doesn't need to have the roots all the way down into the reservoir. Yeah, see, some of them are really established. Different types of lettuces have different types of rooting systems. I'm just going to take half of it off. And this is the point where lots of other people would just pop in new lettuces instead of doing cut and come again method, which I should probably have had more prepared. But I was like, it was an oversight on my part. See, on this side here, they're short, and then along the edge where it sits, it's long. And when you pull it out, you can see how it goes into that little hole. And I see I left a piece behind. I'll have to fish that out. I don't want it clogging up and rotting in there. So yeah, that's how we do it, or that's how I do it, how I do my maintenance. And I just continue to continuously work my way down. So I'll take this one's all done. I'll take this layer off, which I'll show you. And it just pops right off like that. And I can clean it or just leave it for now. You stay away there, Mr. Reggie. And then we do the same thing here. Look at those roots. But look at these guys. They're really growing into there. Look at that system. It's amazing and impressive. So you can see this one here is trying to grow down into the reservoir. The water, you can see the water level down in there. The dark circle thing there, that's the water level. And so yeah, you can really see it's rooted in, and that's probably the one we see right here. So the roots for it are here, and it is, yeah, there. Decided to rearrange. I put the choy on the bottom layer all together, and then I'm going to restack it, try to organize it that way a little bit better. I don't know. I guess all the lettuce is pretty fair game. It's all the same, but this is what it looks like when it's all just unassembled. A little different than what you're used to seeing, but they just stack right back on and we're good to go. I'll get it back turned on and it'll be happy lettuce and choy again. And just like that, the tower garden has been maintained. I didn't need to wash it like I would normally. I would normally take out all the plants or replace all the plants, and in the meantime wash it out. The reason that I would wash it out is because sometimes it builds up with like a crystal, like a salt, and so that can clog up those little drain holes. I didn't have to do that today because I'm using a different product for feeding these plants, and I'm also using aquarium water which has nitrates, which is something that plants need, especially leafy greens. They do really well with pulling that stuff out as nutrients. So I haven't really had a lot of buildup because I'm not wasting. It's not over concentrated. The plants are getting the right amount of nutrition, and I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm not only using fish nitrates because my one aquarium is still cycling. It got put out of cycle, so that's a whole other topic, but I'm not completely using that. I'll show you what I am using. There's products that I'm using that I got on Amazon. Okay, so every few days, like I think it's every 4 days, I'm using this solution, an A and B solution. It's a Hydra Grow Ultimate Grow Blend. This is new for me this year. I started with these at the beginning of the season, or at the beginning of the setup with this grow tower. There's probably that much left in there still. And what I'm doing is this measure, which is 1/3 of a cup of each. I do 1/3 of a cup of A and 1/3 of a cup of B solution in the reservoir and down in here, every I would say 4 to 5 days. I think it was once every 7 days when I was using aquarium water. I did just put one 5-gallon bucket of aquarium water in here. So I was able to stretch using this stuff. And it's not a lot. I mean, it really isn't a lot. So I think these cost me $48 for like both bottles together on Amazon Canadian. And this I've probably harvested every 3 days for the last month. So I've had a lot of lettuce come out of here. I've given lots away. We've ate a lot. I actually had to feed some to my chickens. I mean, every 3 days we're getting this much lettuce, at least, or like this is the least amount we get or more. So and the bok choy hasn't even started yet. So I'm really thrilled with the cost, because I think if I was to continue using this product and I'm not using the nitrates, I think it works out to cost $12 a month, including the power to run this thing, with using this product. But with just using fish nitrates and not using this, like my aquarium water, it would cost $4 a month, I think is what I figured it out as, for power with LED lights. Only 3 of these lights are running. These ones are not as efficient as the other LED lights and whatnot. So I think in the future, I don't think I would do another tower like this one. I do like it and I find it's very efficient, but I would really love to try like a green stock inside with grow lights. I think that would be a really good experiment for me in the winter time with a green stock, where I can actually use soil, because I'm really into the soil health and learning about that and whatnot. I don't mind having dirt in my home, if you haven't noticed. So I wish I could get more access to like an actual, like the actual green stock here in Canada. We don't really have access to that. There's other products that are available, I suppose, but I kind of feel left out with all you Americans and your green stock. It's like, dang, hook a Canadian up already. Anyway, looks like dinner. Okay, let's go check on our buns. You know what? I think we're not gonna make dinner rolls. Let's change things up. Let's make like pumpkin cinnamon buns. Yes, I think that sounds much better with raisins, because I have a ton of raisins to use up. Yeah, Chaz would love that. And then I can make them, wrap them up, and freeze them for lunches, for future lunches. Yeah, that's a great idea. We're changing plans. Look at us go. So in my pantry, I found this big bag of raisins that really needs to be used up. The dough is ready to be used. I decided that it would make 2 different things. So I wanted to make like a sort of like a bread, like a loaf of bread, and I wanted to make it like a raisin bread. So basically I just flattened it out. As you can see here, this dough is so nice to work with. Really beautiful dough. And I just took these raisins and sprinkled them all over this dough. And then I just took some cinnamon and just gave it a little sprinkle of cinnamon on top and just rolled it up. And so this will kind of be like a cinnamon raisin swirl bread. And the reason I wanted to do this is I wanted to make a bread pudding and then also have some bread that Chaz can make as toast in the morning with his eggs. So just something different. So now I'm going to make cinnamon rolls with the rest of this dough. And basically I just wanted to make it nice and level. So just rolling it out, I think, about a 1/4 inch thick is about approximately how thick I rolled it out. I cannot get over this dough. Like, it is amazing. It was so nice to work with. It rolled out beautifully. And I'm really happy with using freeze-dried pumpkin in making dough recipes like this. Really, really awesome. If you have a freeze dryer, I highly recommend using your purees in freeze-dried form for doing doughs. So if you haven't noticed, I don't have a microwave. I have to melt my butter in a pot. So I did melt my butter in a pot and I poured it over top, and I'm just smearing it all over. And then I'm going to take the raisins that are sitting on the counter. Oh, first I found some coconut sugar. I was going to use brown sugar, and then I seen this sitting there and I decided let's use the coconut sugar instead. It doesn't really alter the flavor, and it is really good because it has a lower glycemic index, which is perfect because, we don't always need all that sugar. And so I added the raisins, and I forgot to add cinnamon, you guys. I forgot. And I even thought before I rolled it up, don't forget to add the cinnamon. And literally, I completely forgot to add the cinnamon. So they still worked out just fine. I think to fix this problem, I would have melted butter and added cinnamon to it. And then drizzled it over top of the cinnamon bun so it could run in the center, and that would have probably fixed the issue. But I was going to be icing these with cream cheese icing, so I felt like it wasn't going to be that big of a deal because, it was a pumpkin. It didn't have to have cinnamon, so it worked out fine. Chaz gobbled it down like there was no tomorrow anyway, which you'll see in a little bit here. But they were big. These are big buns, and managed to get 6 into a cake pan, and then I just had 2 left over that I could fit into enamel cast iron and let them rise and then bake them up. I think I let these rise for about 30 minutes by the time I was ready to put them in the oven. And while they were baking, I decided to make a cream cheese icing. So I added some homemade vanilla extract and some icing sugar. What do you think of this?
I think I'm ready to eat it right now.
Gotta wait. These smelled amazing. They do taste just as good as they look. They probably even taste better than they look. The only thing that would have made them better is cinnamon. Just cinnamon.
That's good. That's really good.
Like, how good?
Like 12 out of 10 good.
12 out of 10 good?
Yeah.
Does it taste like pumpkin?
A little bit.
I forgot to put the cinnamon. Can you tell?
Not really.
So that's what we're having for supper. There's no actual supper.
Fine by me.
All right. Are you sure you're enjoying that, sir?
Can enjoy it more.
All right. So I guess good luck this week with your learners.
Thank you.
Well, I hope today was inspiring to you in some way. I hope that maybe it provoked some thought of what to plant, what to grow, what your next goal is for your homestead. I hope that you enjoyed today's content, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Are you cold?
Yep.
The reason I need so much coffee today, Chaz decided, well, I worked really late. I had like maybe 2 hours of sleep before Chaz woke me up, banging on my bedroom door saying, Christy, the bus isn't coming. And he was all worked up. And so I got up and I tried to get a hold of the bus driver, phoned one of my neighbors, one of my friends, and I realized there was no school. So yeah. I just had to share this. These eggs are from chickens we incubated, and this was my goal. Rainbow eggs. I did it.